forward, halt, left, 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 right, your left, 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 right. Down, down,
Arkansas boy with a lifelong plan took the oath like his old man, then turned around proud, shook his hand. L.A. kid stood right behind, took a deep breath and signed on the line, while tears streamed from his mama's eyes. They hopped right up on that Greyhound bus, swapping stories. They laughed and cussed, and they talked about the girls that they loved. They made a pact, shined up their boots, got the call before it hit the news. No clue what they were about to do. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it is Tuesday. Welcome to the Finish This Fight Hour. My name is Glenn Baker. I am your host, coming to you from Fort Lauderdale, Florida, where the cold apocalypse is starting to end. We still have iguanas raining out of the trees and falling all over the place, but it's a good thing because those little turkeys will tear up your yard. Hey, I've got my two favorite guests from from this year so far, back on for part 2 today. We're going to talk about some things that is going on in our country with the Chinese. We're going to talk about some things going on in D.C. because there's always things going on in D.C. I got a little culture last night. Now, this redneck got some culture. I went to Shenyang. Say that twice, Shenyang. I went to the Chinese ballet. And ladies and gentlemen, my daddy would turn over in his grave. He knew that because he told me, boy, the only culture you need is walking out in the cow pasture and stepping on a fresh one. But I got some Chinese culture last night. We'll talk about that for a minute. Let me bring on my guests. Say hello to Tim Dillard and to Christine Bish. Hey, guys, welcome to the show.
Hello, Christine. Chris.
Oh, Chris. Hi, Tim. Hi, Glenn.
How's California? How's the commies doing?
Oh, you know what? We got all kinds of fun things. We got kids taking field trips to protest in the streets. Just had a phone call from one of my neighbors saying the local high school, the kids are getting extra credit for their civics class if they go out and protest. So I guess they're going to go down the road to Home Depot or something. I don't really know what they're going to protest. We're pretty quiet.
Did you see last night the teacher that was beaten up by the kids that were protesting from his school? They jumped him. Yeah, they jumped him and bloodied him. And he was one of their teachers.
I guess he should have. Go ahead.
Where was
that?
It was in Texas, Tim. It was in Texas.
Yeah, I'm telling you, things are not. We got to change how we fight. I'm just telling you, we got to change how we fight.
Yeah, we got some indoctrination that is coming into play right now. We're seeing it in the natural. I call this the spiritual warfare that's showing up in the natural. The evil isn't even hiding anymore. It's just out in the open.
Glenn, they're doing it. They're giving them extra credit here for going out and protesting. Yeah, so I had some of the moms calling over to the school board to see if they're going to mark those kids truant or get field trip permission.
Yeah, it's getting ugly. So, Chris, let's talk about what's going on in the used to be and soon to be again great state of California. What are you doing out there in a Walmart parking lot today?
It is beautiful. I'm in the lovely city of West Sacramento, and I belong to a couple of the Republican GOP central committees. So Yolo County's out here today collecting signatures to get voter ID on the ballot in California. So they're collecting signatures out here for that. Also to preserve Prop 13. And really what that is a stopgap from the legislature putting up raising our property taxes. Prop 13 out here, what we did, this was back in the 70s, is because people were being taxed out of their homes. You could own your home free and clear, but they raised the property taxes so much, people were losing their homes. So we put that law in. Now the legislature, they don't have enough money here in California. We need more bullet trains and, you name it, just silliness out here. So we're trying to protect that. And then, of course, I'm running for Congress. So they're collecting signatures to help me qualify for the ballot. I believe we have all the signatures we need. Now we're just collecting extra ones and voter outreach, meeting people. And I don't need to be on TV and all that other business when I can be out talking to people and hearing what's important to them. So that's what I'm doing out here in Walmart. I'm out here with the real folks.
Are you shaking babies and hugging hands or vice versa, something like that?
I have met some amazing people out here with great stories, and I probably visit with them too much. I met a lady from Brooklyn, where my whole family's from Brooklyn, and she got in trouble. So in the 70s or 60s, sorry, back in the 60s, her mom sent her to Tel Aviv so she'd stay out of trouble.
Tel Aviv to stay out of trouble. That wouldn't work, I don't think.
It was a great story, and just a really nice lady. I met another guy from Rio Linda, California, where Rush Limbaugh loved to visit and talk about, and just a great man, good stories, and thinks Rio Linda gets a bad rap. I've met people from all over, some guys out here from Detroit. They were out here visiting and just running into Walmart. I mean, this is a great place to hang out.
Well, Chris, that's one of the reasons why I supported you years ago and still do, is because you're one of the few running for Congress or political type aspirations that really go back down to the people. And I saw it firsthand, and I want you to keep that. And if you don't, little Glenn's going to come to Sacramento, and we're going to remind you of it.
I'm all game for that. No one's changing me. Ask my husband. He'll tell you. I can't be tamed.
I believe you. Tim Dillard, what's happening in Texas? You and I were just chatting a little while ago about what's going on here in the U.S.
Well, I framed the war a little bit differently than Chris Bish does, and we have to have the Chris Bishes, because if we don't, we're done. But I frame it a little differently. And I mean, January 31st in Texas, a state Senate district that was 17 points on the side of Trump in 24 went blue, and on a state Senate seat, and a big flip. And they credited the immigration issue as the main reason that it flipped. I believe there was a lot of fraud there, as there usually is. But I'm pretty deep in that issue as it pertains to a lot of the bigger ministries and pastors and things like that. And there's another side of the story that hasn't really been told, and I can tell it secondhand here in Texas from these guys' firsthand account, which is they've taken those 30 million people that they brought in, plus the 30 or 40 that were already here. But the 30 million that they brought in, they came in, they gave them social security numbers, they've got them voting ID, they've got them driver's license, they've hit them all in blue cities and blue states for the most part. And so we're not able to access them, obviously, because they're hidden away in these blue cities and blue states. So we're left with Trump's demand of, I want to see the deportation numbers going up. This is how he operates. I want to see the numbers up. It goes week to week. Tulsi and Christie have to be in there and show him an increase in numbers. Mainly that's Christie's responsibility. And so what they've taken to doing is they're in the red states waiting on outside of Christian churches where they know there's a large Hispanic contingent, and they're just grabbing them.
Right.
And they're not looking for the 30 million people, of which many of them were brought in for rioting and protest and armed conflict and that sort of thing. They're not able to find those. So they're having to take the people that have been here before, weren't a part of that influx or that surge the border thing as Biden's mind allowed him to say that one brief moment. And so you're seeing a flip back, the bounce back from that policy, which has all the good intentions, and we're getting lost in the morass of the ICE protests and all the stuff that Marxists know to do, which is just create chaos, right? Their whole mantra is out of chaos, order. They don't even say order out of chaos. They say out of order, out of chaos, comma, order. That's out of Saul Alinsky's Rules for Radicals book, which is their Bible.
Well, let's talk about that a little bit, guys, because this is something I think we need to focus and put our energy on today. I want to make it very clear, Chris, and I think I've told you this many times. I'm a Republican by voter ID, but I am not at all a Republican any longer. I don't qualify and identify myself like that. And there's a reason, because I think most of the Republicans in this office are just as sold out as the Democrats are on that side. Not most, a lot of them are. Now, we start getting some Chris Bishes in place, I may start to transition back in that direction again. But here's what I am. I'm a God-loving, America-serving conservative. Now, does that lean into the Republican side? I guess it does. But at the end of the day, I want what's best for our country. And Chris, I know your heart, and I know you're one of those people. We're chatting right now about the immigration issue. It's a huge issue. When we had 30 million people cross over this border in 4 years, there was a reason and there was a purpose behind it. It had to do with enticement. It had to do with holding and dangling a carrot out in front of folks. And now we've got a problem. And there's a lot of people that are not real happy with how the problem's being solved right now. What are your thoughts on that, Chris?
You know, first of all, I want to tell you a little story about me. I've been in California for a while. Originally, my whole family's from New York, but my dad actually managed a resort outside of Santa Cruz, and it was called the Pasatiempo Resort. And I was about 13 years old. My brother was the head chef, and big Italian family. If you eat, you work. That was the rule. So while I was there, my dad said, "You're working in the kitchen." I was a 13-year-old girl, and there's no way I was cleaning squid. So he meant it as a punishment. He said, if you don't work in the kitchen with your brother, then you're going to work with the maids. And so I took working with the maids. Now, none of these ladies spoke English, and they were the most hardworking, honest people that I had ever met. And I'd say what I learned from those women, cleaning rooms, at 13 years old, cleaning toilets. We didn't have rubber gloves or brushes and everything. You got in there with a wash rag. And I didn't have the luxury, if you will, of throwing a temper tantrum or refusing to do work. These ladies were working to take care of their families. And they taught me how to do that job with dignity and respect for them, respect for myself. And I had to keep up with the pace of the work. And it's something that I've taken with me my whole life. So when I start looking at the immigration issue I remember when we did blanket amnesty and what a disaster that was. And Ronald Reagan got hoodwinked by the Democrats saying this would never happen again. Those same Democrats, a lot of them are still in office. And when Biden got in there, we got hoodwinked again. He invited more people in, and they were brought in as guests of an administration, of elected officials. And there were a lot of Republicans who did not lift a finger to try and stop it. It was a mess. So I guess the point that I'm getting to here is there are good people here. These aren't criminals. They were invited here, and this happened before when I was a kid, and then again, under the Biden administration. So I think what we have to do in order to bring order to this chaos is we need to come up with a pathway to a visa, not blanket amnesty, not citizenship, but we need people to come out of the shadows. Enough of this nonsense with sanctuary cities and phony social security numbers and all of this business. I want to see a blanket to a visa so we can find out who the good folks are so they're not hiding. and then we can pick up the bad guys, the drug traffickers, and the human trafficking, the wife beaters. And I think this is another way to do it, staying with the message of Trump and the great work of Kristi Noem and our ICE agents, because they're using it against us. So what I found when I'm dealing with these liberals, these leftists, is we need to flip the script and play their game against them. And, take into account, people that have been here since they were children. There was a story about a man who was brought here when he was 3 years old from Istanbul, and his parents overstayed their visa. That wasn't his fault. And he was raised here. To him, he's an American citizen. He doesn't know anybody over there. And that's one of the ones where we want to give a pathway to a visa, not a pathway to citizenship. And then these people who are out there protesting in the streets, well, guess what? You need to sponsor one of those people who's looking for a pathway to a visa and flip the script. And I could be wrong, Tim. Tell me if I'm wrong.
You're 100% right, but there's 100% impossibility of that happening. It's the 100% the right thing to do. 100%. Here's the problem. The people that 30 million people are averaging around $7,000 a month right now in income, which comes through the United Nations and all kinds of NGOs that are never going to be touched, because all the Republicans in Congress and the Senate are all getting money and kickbacks from that, as are many of the state house senators and representatives in all the states, and the governors and the judges and the police and the sheriffs. And they're all making money off of the quote unquote immigration issue. And not to mention all the hotels that are making money on daily stipends still. I mean, we got some publicity on a couple of those in New York, but that's still happening. Because understand this, again, we talked about this last time. This is the result of a plan that's been unfolding for well over 100 years. And they've been stashing away trillions of dollars a year for 50 years. And that's just from the United States. They've got all kinds of other money. So we're fighting something that has quadrillions of dollars, not hundreds of trillions. Quadrillion. So they have unlimited sources to.
Tim, explain that real quick before you go past that, because a lot of people don't understand what you're saying. Maybe that's the first time they've ever heard it. We're talking about people that are above our elected officials. We're talking about a group that actually runs this country. In this
you're
world.
seeing it in the Epstein files. If you've been following that as closely as I have. So you got the beauty of it is now with AI, we're able to go into the Epstein files and find stuff like this, even though what they released was 4 million documents. But that 4 million documents is still a fraction of how many documents are there. And we're seeing all the evidence of this cabal that has been operating and looking to overthrow the United States. I don't know if you saw this, that came out, the Epstein people and all the people associated with him were behind all the transgenderism. Expressly in the emails and stuff going back and forth, this is a way to overthrow the United States. Exact words. Exactly. So we're fighting that on that level. And then we get thrown this immigration issue, which pales in comparison to the real part of the immigration issue that we're not even discussing, which is they brought in 1 million kids. The average age was 9. The average lifespan was 18 months. They averaged getting raped 20 to 50 times a day. And at the end of that, the lucky ones died. The unlucky ones had their organs carved out and sold for hundreds of thousands of more dollars while they were alive. And so that's the real crux of what the problem is in the immigration issue. And what Chris Bish says, to get her in Congress is just an absolute, complete necessity. Because will she be able to make much of a difference? No, she's one of 435 people, and 400 of them are compromised. And so she won't be compromised. But you don't say, well, God, it's hopeless. You still fight.
You do.
Still have to get the Chris Bishes of the world, of which, from my experience, there's only one so far. You got to get them into Congress, and they got to get their voice heard, like what she said. And Chris, you're so eloquent in the way you speak. And
thank you.
It's unbelievable that you're a realtor, because realtors, I've worked in real estate and around real estate, and I've got my Century 21 gold jacket on today. And I understand that world really well. And you're the atypical realtor. And I guarantee it, if I'm moving to Sacramento, I'm going to call you. but
Well,
yeah,
thank you.
and that's to prop you up a little bit. But I mean, you're a rare person to go fight this battle. But let's be honest, the odds of you making a difference there are so small. But we got to have that much. I mean,
You know what?
That's that journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. We got to get people in there. How do we do it?
And you know,
how do we get you
our
elected
country-
in communist California?
Well, you can start with donations. That's how I get out there. I meet people. It's better that I'm out talking to people rather than on the phones trying to raise money. And that's where the army of my friends and supporters, you get out there, send a donation. You can do it through the website, bishforcongress.com. We have the address if you want to mail a check. But it's that support. And then it's calling, Republicans out here in California. You can phone bank from Kansas, Tennessee, New York. We had a bunch of people out of New York making phone calls for me. So there's a lot of ways that we can come around my campaign and help me get to office. So I'm not sitting on the phone trying to hustle bucks. I'm actually talking to people and talking about the truth. It's
Chris, let me stop you right there.
It's an exciting opportunity here.
Let me stop you right there because I want to reiterate something here. Well, there she is talking about money, another dadgum politician talking about money. Chris, let's be realistic. I know you. You know me. We've both put almost everything we've got into this fight. Financially, physical, emotional, it's all gone in. My fight's different than yours. Yours is different than mine, but it all costs money. I'm out of pockets right now for what I'm doing. I'm putting exoskeletons on paralyzed veterans. I'm putting movies out. I'm doing podcasts. We're singing around the country. That's expensive. Chris, literally, what would it cost you on the norm to run for Congress in Sacramento and know you're going to win?
Realistically, I think I could pull it off for 600,000. $1 million would be better.
See, guys, here's what people don't understand if you're not in this world. It is not cheap. The system is not set up the way it was 200 years ago, where we would go in and we would elect somebody to be there at part-time. It was a part-time thing. They would go do their litigation, they would do their thing, and then we come back and go back to work. It's now become so expensive. If you don't have a pocket full of money, you don't have a chance in hell to get in. And so most people that are good folks may or may not have that pocket full of money. Chris, talk to me, girl.
Well, just they set it up so that average people like me could never run for office. Just to put a statement in the ballot guide that goes out, a little statement about me, about people I wasn't able to reach. They get that book. Do you know it's going to cost me over $20,000 just to put a statement in a book that's mailed to voters who may or may not read it? Now, that's part of the elections, but they're charging me. I'm actually being charged to reach voters by the people who administer the election. That's craziness. That's setting people up to fail. Now, here's the fun part about it. They actually have a provision in there. If you're indigent, you can provide your tax returns. Now, indigent people don't have tax returns. We'll just say that. But if you're indigent, you're homeless, you have no money, you're probably not running for Congress. But that was their ridiculous fix for the cost to put that candidate statement in. So, and then, social media, we're using that. Again, not everybody's on social media. And quite honestly, I don't trust people that I see on TV. I don't. And these commercials, and everybody rolls their eyes and says, well, it's just another politician. So that's why I go to the craft fairs and all the community meetings. I'm out there. We do the, neighborhood barbecues and that sort of thing. So starting next week, we're going to be doing Coffee with Chris. And so I'm going to be picking out different coffee shops, little mom and pop shops, in the district, and we'll put it on social media, let them know, hey, I'm over here at Susie's Cafe or wherever it's going to be. And, first 10 people, the cup of coffee's on me. And then just get people coming out and talking to me, getting to know me. Even out here in front of Walmart, we're collecting signatures for me to qualify for the ballot. And I met some hardcore liberals. I mean, these people died in the wool. And when you start talking to them and you talk to people, not that you're going to change their mind or change their heart, but the first step to that is talking to them, finding anything that's common ground. And then we can build on that. Where they didn't sign our other petitions, they were actually willing to sign the petition to give me an opportunity to run for office. And, we have the ability to change hearts and minds, but it's going to be one conversation at a time. And, there's about, 900,000 people. I can't talk to them all. I'd like to. But, and that's where the money comes in. It's trying to reach them with mail pieces, letting them know where I'm going to be. Because, again, not everybody's on the internet, and it's finding that common ground.
I would like to take politics out of this, Chris, for a moment and just go to the people. Again, we're talking about, yes, it's expensive to run for our office, especially at a higher level. It's expensive. We don't have that money. You don't have that money. I don't have that money. We're depending upon people that get excited about Chris Bish. Let's get people excited about Chris Bish and the ferocity that she has and the toughness that she has and trying to do the right thing. The right thing may not be exactly right for some people. It may be more for others. But at the end of the day, I know Chris Bish and I know her heart. I've watched you now for close to 5 years. I flew to Sacramento and spent time with you and your husband and going around the area. I know this lady. And if we can get some people like Christine Bish in our Congress, in our government, yes, Tim, you're right. She can't change it all at once, but we can attract more of that goodness. The problem is, guys, evil is showing its head. It's everywhere, and now it's becoming cool to support that kind of crap. Let's get rid of it. Chris Bish for Congress. Bish for Congress running right below. That's correct. Do I got it correct? Chris, it's Bish for Congress.
Yep.
No. Guys, go
yes,
make
it is.
$20,000, $50,000, $100,000 donation and get this woman in the office.
Well, I tease my husband and I tell him that he's the luckiest man in the world because I would be the best ex-wife ever. and that's what Congress has to look for, because I'm a little chunky, but I'm not a big person, but I'm tenacious and I got a big mouth. I personally think that once I get to the house and I start making these people crazy, they'll start coming around just so I'll go away. The squeaky wheel.
Well, that's how it works. That's absolutely how it works.
Yeah.
So how do we reach, I'm on your team. So how do we reach, because I think you're going to win the Republican nomination. I think you're going to skate with that one in June. So then how do we get you into Congress? We have to pull as much of that center group in your district, which is 900,000 people, right? We got to get that center group to see it your way and not see it Amy Barra's way.
Well, Ami Berra is actually out of my race because we're dealing with that Prop 50 nonsense out here where they're trying to move the districts around. And, that's the thing with these leftists. They don't consider the consequences of their actions. So me running against Ami Berra under the old map, I was at a disadvantage, about 14 points. But with the redistricting, they've got me down to 8 points difference. Now we got 39% Democrat, 30% Republican, and the rest is independent, no party preference. So once I win this primary on June 2nd, then I'm calling on the Republican Central Committees. And, I'm out here in front of Walmart with one of them, with Yolo County. I'm going to the Central Committees and say, you know what? I need you guys shore up the Republican vote. Let me talk to the people who are tired of politics as it is. These are the no party preference and the independent voters, the people who do not want to align with a political party. They want to live their lives. They want to earn a living. They don't want to be taxed too much, paying a little bit of taxes to take care of our fellow human beings and take care of our roads. And we're good with that. It's when you're wasting it and you're stealing it from us. And let me bring in that independent vote, the people who are just disenchanted with politics and with the political parties. And, because a lot of people out there, they're still registered to vote, but they don't believe that their vote matters. So by reaching out to those people directly, I can say that not only does your vote matter, but it matters to me. And I'm personally asking you for your help. I can only do this job if you're willing to give me the opportunity. And I think that's how we win this. It's not regurgitating what's wrong, but it's actually talking about solutions. And do I think I know everything and I have the solution to everything? No, but when you're talking to independents and no party preference, so I tell them, this is my idea for a solution. And they say, well, I've got this idea. And it's that communication, that talking and getting people thinking and out of their box. And, most people just want to be heard.
What's
they
the
don't want to
key
be
issue?
in the line.
That's a huge number for independents, 31%, I think you said. So,
yes.
That's so you're a third roughly, right?
Yes.
It's about a third each. So what's the key issue for the independents other than they're checked out and they don't trust anybody?
Well, it's, this is California, so it's expensive to live here. Right now, we've got the highest gas tax in the country. Gas is $1 a gallon more in California than any place else in the country. They're closing down our refineries. The possibility of $8 a gallon gas in California when the rest of the country is getting below $3. That's real. And they're talking about adding a mileage tax because they've been pushing so much for these electric vehicles that we have a lot of people on these hybrids and electric vehicles. They're not paying the gas tax, but the roads are still getting worn. So now they want to double charge people who are paying a gas tax and get us on a mileage tax so they can get all those electric vehicles paying in too. So I think on that one, I do believe the legislature in California is going to pass it. I do believe Gavin Newsom's going to sign it. And I do believe the lawsuit will be the equal protection clause because gas vehicles are being double taxed with this mileage tax. And they've got to do this a different way. So if you want to put a mileage on the electric vehicle, go for it. But you cannot double tax people who choose to operate a gas vehicle.
Well, Chris, it's just common sense legislation. It's not common. It's not common out there. The things you're talking about now, the taxes, and I understand. Southern California, what's gas? 6.5 right now? Somewhere in that neighborhood?
I don't know. I don't go down there very much.
I've got a buddy in San Diego. We talked last night. I think it's about $6 to $6.50 a gallon in Southern California. Right?
Mm-hmm.
That's ridiculous.
I paid $2.17 last night.
Florida paying $2.89, and I think that's ridiculous. So
I think we just paid $4.79 a gallon for diesel up here.
Wow. So we're talking about common sense legislation. It's not common at all in our country, but it's especially not common in California. We're talking about immigration solutions. We were chatting about that at the beginning. Guys, don't get your hair all twisted into a ponytail. I hear all these people now saying, well, just get them all. I get it. I understand your thought process on that. I also understand the thought process on there was 30 million people enticed by our government, attracted to come here with promises of free. And have you ever lived in those conditions to understand how attractive that promise was? Probably not if you're from the U.S. You didn't. So I get that. I think there needs to be some common sense.
It's windy out here. Sorry, guys.
It is windy.
You look great. You look great.
Common sense things taken into account. Nobody deserves to come across the border and become a citizen right away. And you hit some things on that while ago, Chris. Let's give them a path to a green card. where it's a step by step process to become a citizen. Because folks, I don't care whether you like it or not. There's good folks that came across that border. There's good people that wanted better for their family. There's also a lot of dangerous people that came across that border. And Chris, I want to talk about that a minute. I told everyone at the beginning, I got a little culture last night. I went to the Chinese ballet. But China right now has got a very bad taste in our mouth here in the U.S. for some specific reasons. And let's talk about that. Those specific reasons may have to include there was thousands of war-age men come across the border in the 4 years of the Biden administration. Why did Chinese people come across the border? Because it was dadgum open and it was easy to do. Let's talk about that. We got Chinese people here that
Michael, do you know Michael Yan? Do you know Michael Yan? Either y'all know Michael Yan?
No.
Michael was ex-Special Forces guy, then went into as a journalist, embedded in Special Forces. And now he's got his own thing on Independent Journalist, and he's made his bones saying, I'll go to the place that's the worst, hardest place, and he typically does. But during that 4 years, he spent a lot of time in the Darien Gap between Panama and Colombia and all that area down there. And he documented, and people can find it on his, not sure if it's on his Rumble channel, but in his Michael Yan, Y-O-N, he had whole hotels filled with Chinese military that were being brought, and their path was Colombia, Panama, Mexico, and then different places in the U.S. And I mean, literally whole hotels, nothing but Chinese military being brought into the United States. That's what was going on.
Well, and it's here. It's here now. And it's not just Chinese military. Did y'all hear recently, just I think yesterday, the day before, there was a biolab found outside of Las Vegas that was actually connected to the one that's out. Is it really California that was found a while back?
Down in the valley. And it was covered up by the government here, by our governor, who wants to be the president. Lord help us all. Please put your mercy on us that evil dude doesn't end up in the White House. That's just pure evil.
So CCP organized and owned biolabs. Military-age men being snuck across the border by the tens of thousands. China buying up land and property around our country. I know Oklahoma has sold a huge amount to CCP-related businesses that are very near our military operations. Chris, what do we do? How do we reverse this?
Well, this is going to take Congress to do that, and because the foreign governments, foreigners are not allowed to own radio stations, network television stations. And the truth is, we have to stop foreign governments from owning land. And we need to make sure that it's not done through shells or cooperation, just like they did with TikTok. We've got to maintain our sovereignty. And we need people in the House of Representatives that understand that we are a sovereign nation. And you cannot hack us up in bits and pieces and sell off this country. We are the most blessed nation on this planet. And I understand the desire for some people to come here and the other people to tear us down. Because to have the type of freedom that God gave us, spread across the planet, that's what destroys dictatorships. That's what changes people's hearts, people's minds. Look at what's happening in Iran. Those young people, they know that they will be killed for rioting in the street. And that passion is in them. Those are the people. They don't want to come here. They're not trying to escape here. They're trying to take back their country and their culture. And this is what we see in Israel. So I'm not big on foreign aid. We shouldn't be supporting the whole planet, but we do need to help fund that spirit that, it's not just American, it's the melting pot. It's everybody that came here that made us great. And we want to see that spread throughout the world. So I'm going to go back to the CCP stuff. You want to own land? Go to China. We need to restrict that. But that's not just for China. That's for any other country. And I believe that we do need to change the laws, and that's going to happen in Congress. So if you're looking for a champion, someone who's going to help reclaim our sovereignty, I'm the one who's going to lead that charge. I'm going to be the loudmouth in the House of Representatives because, MTG, before whatever she has going on now, menopause, I don't know what's happened to her. But before that, she had nothing on me. Wait till I get there. And I can do it without the dirty words and the meltdowns. And I won't be batting my eyes at anybody because I'm happily married.
Beach blonde, beach bod, butter. I love that, Chris. So you're right. We've got to make some changes in Congress. At the same time, we have to be aware of what's going on around us, in our hemisphere, if you will. China's taking over a lot of countries within striking distance of us. Talking about places like Haiti, Jamaica, places in South America. Tim, what's going on with there? We know they're buying it up, or they're loaning money and then cashing in on it.
You're going back to trying to analyze the micro when all the problems are in the macro, and it's an unfolding plan of over 100 years again. And so the answer on that connects 100 years of history and takes too long to get into it. It's a deliberate overthrow of all nations, which was the purpose of the formation of the United Nations in 1948 anyway, by the way. That's what it's critical. That was its critical path, was to serve as the tool of peace on the outside, but be the hub for overthrowing national sovereignty. Because there's been this plan to bring everybody down. We talked about this last time. Countries are only three things: borders, culture, and language. And if you analyze what's happened in the United States in the last 50 years on those three issues, border, culture, and language, you can see how well they've planned this out. That said, it's still time to get people in Congress that will fight it. And Chris, I think that's a winning issue with the people in the middle. That's 31% in your district. I think that protecting national sovereignty is important to that middle group. The ones on the left, they've already been brainwashed to think that we shouldn't have a border and we shouldn't have a country and we shouldn't have anything. So, but the ones in the middle, I think, still want to protect their country and and then what folds out of that very quickly, though, is the plan to take people's children and raise their children. And that also came out in the Epstein files. I don't know if you saw that. The whole transgenderism thing was a methodology being used by globalism to overthrow United States culture and families, which families are principal building block of our culture.
Okay, so I'm just going to interject real quick. I'm walking back out to my truck in the Walmart parking lot because my battery's running low, and I want to plug in so I can keep talking to you. So letting you know what I'm up to. But you're right, and there's there's two types of Democrats. There's the JFK and the AOC. The JFK, we have more in common than we know or they know, right?
Right.
It's the AOC ones that we can't deal with.
And, the only JFK type,
the common ground.
Yeah, the only JFK type Democrat that I see out there at all right now is Fetterman.
Well, he's not in California. He's in Washington.
He's talking about in the universe of Democrat politics.
I'm talking about in the whole country.
Yeah, he seems to be leaning that direction for sure. Don't know what caused that because he wasn't that way before he got elected. So
he wasn't that way before he had a stroke. He's the only guy that's had a stroke.
I was trying to be nice. I was trying to be nice.
Maybe that's the answer. Oh, Lord Jesus, slap my hand.
The only guy that had a stroke and came out right.
Yeah.
So, but we do have a lot of work to do, and it's not just Congress. It's it's our schools. You know, out here in California, I just had a lady contact me because the schools out here are going to give extra credit if you cut school and go protest. Now, I'm in a little town called Antelope. It's an unincorporated area of Sacramento County, and we just don't have, you know, farms, and there isn't even a hotel there. You know, it's just a quiet little suburb. We have our problems here and there, but for the most part, it's a nice community. So I don't know what they're protesting. And
Sure.
but the teachers are encouraging this, and are going to give these kids extra credit. So I've had.
Now? Is
Well,
that even in your small town that they're doing that?
I don't know. I just heard about it waiting to do this interview. So I told my mom, start calling the school and start calling the school district and find out if they have permission slips for the kids to do this field trip to go out. And I'm going to jump off for just a minute while I get myself plugged in.
Get some water too. I hear you coughing.
Oh yeah, just a little.
Tim, let's talk, buddy. What do you think's going on with the solution, or is there a solution besides getting Chris Bish elected? We've got to find some way to get back to God, man. I think at the end of the day, that's it.
Well, revival is what changes whole societies historically.
Mm-hmm.
But they've planned for that. That's been game planned out as much as possible.
But you're counterbalancing that. You've got a little plan for that. And we haven't even talked about that yet.
That's all right. We have the plan. You have to fight this on its level. And so we have a 3-point solution that we're enacting. What's the first one is we're going to unite everyone in 2 minutes of prayer for America. And that will happen globally on November 1st. And prior to that, we'll have all the people in Christian ministry around the world on July 3rd for 2 minutes. And we have an app on 2 for America. So our 3-point plan is simple. You got to unite people. You have to reclaim your culture, and then you have to take control of the money. The hardest one sounds like it's the money. It's actually the easiest one, because everybody would understand that your country rests on top of its economy, right? If you have no economy, you have no country. It falls apart. So all you have to do is go to some of the third world countries that have no real. So their only economy is a black market economy. But even that has the same basic tenet, which is buying and selling. Everything rests on buying and selling. And we talked about this last time. The golden rule that we've been lied about is that he who has the gold makes the rules. Right. And in actuality, the golden rule is he who makes the rules gets the gold. Once you have the gold, you want everybody to believe that it's he who has the gold makes the rules. So nobody thinks about changing the rules. Sure. And so if you have a global economy, an American economy that rests on top of buying and selling, so the government rests on top of the economy rests on top of the principles of buying and selling. And so if you change the rules of buying and selling, you push over the dominoes that destroys the whole thing. And we can prove that, and we've shown that. And like I said, we've had double PhDs from Stanford come in and look at it and go, oh my God, where'd y'all get this? And we tell them Chuck E. Cheese. And we talked about that last time as well. But so that's, we want to enact that solution. We're going to bring everybody together. We've got a groundswell of things beginning to happen. Meeting with Janice Trey, tying in the Chinese side, who is the CEO of Epoch Times. I don't know if you've heard of that, Chris. It's an alt media website that's got, I don't know, several million subscribers. And their whole thing is let's defeat communism in China, which is my whole thing. So the reason we have communism in California and now the rest of the United States, because we allowed it to stand in China. Right. And we, in fact, we not only allowed it to stand, we funded it. And that was a Rockefeller EU invention in there.
Well, at the end of the day, guys, we can do all the right things. We can elect Chris Bish. We can get some warriors in place in other parts of our government. We can do all that. But if we don't lead as warriors that God has called us to be, If we don't come back to God as a nation, it's all in vain. It's going to be temporary wins.
Well, revival, I've studied that pretty extensively over the last several hundred years. Revival always comes out.
You don't look that old to me, man.
Well, I am. Face scrubs. The youth is what leads it, and so you're seeing beginnings of that. What you saw with Charlie Kirk, and Charlie Kirk would still be alive if he was just preaching Jesus on college campuses. He would be. If he was just preaching America First on college campuses, he would still be alive. He was preaching Jesus and America together. And those two icons, the flag and the cross together, are the things that cause the biggest reaction. And because he was doing both of those effectively on the college campuses, he was beginning to change the heart. Because you can go back and look at the history, and we know some of the same people out of Chicago that actually funded his first monies. And you can go back and look at how he began. He had 2 people here and 5 people there and 20 people there for the first 3 years. Now he's everywhere he went. It was thousands. At the place where he was shot, it was thousands of kids out there. So he was changing hearts and minds of the youth, which would change the whole thing. To what Chris was talking about, you go back to Joseph Stalin. Give me one generation and I'll control the country the rest of their future forever. All I need is one generation. So they're taking that generation, they're brainwashing them into thinking that activity is what gets you credit in society. And so they're losing their minds and their wills as a result of that manipulation. And what we have to do now as a country is, as you said, is get back to God. But getting the youth to come alive is the key. We've got, in our Two for America program, we just made contact with some of the Turning Point USA people to begin to spread that to all the college campuses, and we have a plan for doing that. Doing that will change the world because it will spread from college campuses here because they're all connected to colleges campus all over the world. And we can do that. But you're already seeing inside of Turning Point USA, they're not going to the college campuses except to do auditorium style things. They're not down in the dirt with the students. That was the reason he was killed, is to make sure that stopped. That activity was dangerous because it lit the spirit of God inside these kids who have been brainwashed, who are being told, you need to go protest ICE in West Sacramento, California, so that you can get extra credit in school. And so we have the answer to this thing. We do have the answer.
You got words knocking on the door of your lips wanting to come out. What do you want to say?
You brought up something amazing. Turning Point Action has a great, believe it or not, it's an application for your phone. And anybody can download this application and they go through a little questionnaire. But if you're a targeted campaign by Turning Point Action, on the app, it'll give you the campaign and it'll set you up on texting and on if you're in the local area walking or making phone calls. So I did reach out to Turning Point Action. Hopefully we hear back to where they'll add me to that app. And it just makes it easy for anybody to volunteer for the campaign. You can send text messages for me. You can send calls for me. The app that, Charlie Kirk built to help change politics in America. It really is just an amazing piece of technology that I know my campaign would go just viral with that type of help.
After we get off, text me, Chris, on that, and let me talk to our guy there, see if we can speed that up for you.
But you know what's wonderful about it? It's for conservatives out there to reach people you don't know. Download the Turning Point app, become a part of Turning Point Action, and learn how to reach people in your community. I was surprised when I first got the app, and it showed me how many conservatives were in my neighborhood. I did not know how many of my neighbors were registered Republican. It is amazing how that thing works. And so I would say that to anybody out there who's listening, download the app, become part of Turning Point Action, and find out how you can reach people, because that's what that was all about. Just like me standing in front of Walmart here, it's about reaching people at that very personal level. You know, we can do a lot with media and technology and everything, but imagine how many neighbors you don't know.
Yeah.
And that piece of technology helps you get to know your own neighborhood.
See, that's cool, because technology, in my opinion, has separated us from our neighbors. And
Right.
we have to get back to that. You know, I know the people across the street from me in my neighborhood. I know the people next door. I know the people on the other side. This is the first time in 20 years that I've known my neighbors, because I moved into a neighborhood. We've got to get back down to what actually works. And it's human connection. It's human communication. It's not all this email. It's not all this TikTok.
Well, and you know, you just said something amazing, because I am opposed to the technology that we have in elementary schools. I do not think children below high school have any business at school being on these applications, sitting in front of monitors. It's messing the kids up.
Oh yeah.
I had the opportunity to talk to a neurologist, and she's also a researcher at Stanford, who was telling me how it is affecting young children, their thought patterns, their brain patterns, just how they interact. Having those kids on the screens, let's face it, they're going to get it from their parents, their grandparents, aunts, uncles. Everybody's, you know, all over the media. I think school is the last place we should have kids doing this. You've got to learn the basics. You got to learn to crawl before you walk. You have to walk before you run. So you need to learn how to read a book, how to develop that relationship with the physical handling of the book. And it really is intimate if you're a reader, to hold that, as opposed to burying yourself into a screen. Same thing with math. Teachers are no longer allowed to teach. The ones that are passionate, they're not allowed to, because teachers now are program administrators. We have software companies building the software, and you know, I've got it even for my grandkids, where they're supposed to log in to do their reading time, log in to do their math time, and they make it like a video game, and there's a disconnect.
Yeah. Well,
and I think it's on purpose.
Yeah, you're hitting a really strong point, Chris. We could have a whole show on this.
We could have a whole show on
this, because you're not talking just about programming, and you're not talking about changing a person's mind. You're actually talking about changing neural pathways in the physical realm of the brain.
Yes.
It's not just a thought difference. It's a different way that pathways communicate. That's not normal. It's not natural. It's not something we've had for thousands of years, but they've dived into a way that's almost like a shortcut to micromanaging our children's education, so that they turn out the way they want them, maybe not the way the family would have.
It's more than their education. It's they're trying to get to them at the developmental stage. Change how they think, how they feel, how they interact, to get them more accustomed to interacting with a computer than with a person. And you know, you see that when you meet, you know, young kids, the ones that are on the TVs and the computers and the phones and all this, they don't look you in the eye. They don't know how to shake your hand and show respect and listen to what they're told. And it's not that they're bad kids. It's just they're being sucked into a program. And unfortunately, the teachers, they're not allowed to teach. They are program administrators.
Yeah. Guys, we're running low on time. Any last words for you, Chris? Any last words for you, Tim? I'll let Chris go first.
Go ahead, Tim.
Ladies first, but I'll go first because I'm transitioning. That's a joke. No, Glenn, that was a joke, man. That's a joke.
Actually, I've got that recorded. I'm going to break that up into tiny micro bits, and I'm going to put it on TikTok. Don't think I won't.
Yeah, that's good. That'll be all my Chinese communist friends in California will love it. That's a joke. That's a joke too. No, I want to see this Turning Point USA app. I looked it up. I couldn't find it on my Apple store. So I want to try to find that. If you've got a link to that or if anything,
It's Turning Point Action.
I looked
or
that
TP
up.
Action. Look up TP Action on your mobile device.
Okay. Well, I've got a computer with an Apple store too, so it's the same Apple store. It's not coming up there, but I'll try it on the phone. Sometimes I guess it's a little different.
So we've got
get with me on that, and please, Chris, and because we got the guy that's a board director there that's with us on our Two for America project. There, we're waiting to kick that all off, waiting on him right now.
Yeah. So, Chris, give me some final words. I'm going to flash your website across the bottom.
Final words. It's time to send a Bish to Congress because I'm just the Bish to get things done. I need your help wherever you are. You can pitch in your money helps, but your time is more valuable. And we have the opportunity to make a real difference in the House of Representatives, because I'm going to tell you right now, nobody stops me. Nobody silences me. And I love this country, and I just want to bring her back to the glory that I know she is.
Amen. Amen.
Yeah. Well, guys, I appreciate you being on the show today. If you'd like to come back, and I know you would, we'll make that happen again before too terribly long. Guys, bishforcongress.com. Go check. First of all, I don't want you to give her a dime unless you're comfortable with what she said today and know that she's for real. And if you have any trust in little old Glenn at all, I've met her, shook her hand, hugged her neck, met her husband that's got a dadgum mitt like double the size of mine. He's a big old boy, but they're good, solid people. We got to get back to good, solid people representing us, not these generational freaks from wherever they're from that keep coming back. When one retires, the next one is a nephew or kid. We got to get away from that. We got to get some solid people back in place. Chris Bish is solid. Tim Dillard is a solid man with a good character, and I love him, and he's my brother. And even though he's transitioning, we're gonna have to talk about that. But guys, join me. Looking like tomorrow, I've got a possibility of a big show. I'm gonna let you know about that. We've got some cool stuff taking place. Oh, by the way, my young man Joshua Holm has just been approved to be a test subject for the Wondercraft take-home model. So we'll be in Texas this month getting him trained up, where he's going to get a chance to walk much more permanently. We're going to film that. We're going to get that out for everybody to see. If you haven't seen it, go to Glenn Baker Band on YouTube. Glenn Baker with 2 N's. You can't use one. You'll get an Irish dude from Europe, and I'm much better looking than he is. Glenn Baker Band at the Finish This Fight, Joshua's Journey mini documentary. Check that out. Guys, just remember this. I love you. Uncle Glenn loves you. And I'm going to talk to you guys on the back, but I'll see you on the other side.
Forward, halt, left, 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 right, your left, 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 right. Down, down,
Arkansas boy with a lifelong plan took the oath like his old man, then turned around proud, shook his hand. L.A. kid stood right behind, took a deep breath and signed on the line, while tears streamed from his mama's